Welcome to another edition of Resilient Living Podcast, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. My name is Adrian Babashoff, and this is episode 35, and it's the dangers of the age of information. Well, before we move forward, I want to get some house cleaning done. This is my mini retirement, I call them. I work 8 to 9 months out of the year, and I take off about 3 to 4. I'm leaving. I did not take off 2020. I'm at my garden plot right now, my spin farm site where I grow food off somebody else's property, and I'm leaving. I take my children, and we, in this vehicle, in this truck, the F-350 that you guys usually hear in the background, we live out of this truck for a few weeks, for however long we want. This year, having the garden and having the podcasts and the shows and everything that I've got going on, I want to get back and really get back to work. But I need to recharge, and I'm leaving. So I'll be gone for probably about 3 weeks, maybe even a month until we get back. I'm kind of excited. Most people have like $1 million and stuff that they're trying to show, or like beautiful women around them, or Lamborghini or something like that. Mine is I disappear. I'll be posting some videos too of our trip, just to kind of show you guys like kind of what we're doing, where we go. We go way out in the middle of nowhere and all that. And what I liked about this is that this is kind of my ticket. This is my proof of concept of my lifestyle design where I'm able to live this way. And I think it's because of information and things that I've learned in my life, and I've applied them. I've hybridized, as yesterday shows, I've hybridized my life to be able to do these sort of things. So very excited. I can't wait to get back into nature. It's really nice because there's no cell reception, nothing. So books, and even if then, it's just a bathing in nature. So let's get on with the show. As far as information goes, one of the things I'm looking at is a flooding of the mind. And I think that we need to be very careful in this day and age with this flood of information. What does that mean? That means that there's people on all the platforms, on social media, the news. I think we're all pretty much comfortable knowing that the news is pretty much lying. If you're not, then I don't know what to say other than maybe you're right in that they only say a white lie. They only give you part of the truth, but they don't give you all of the truth, which means we need all of the information, correct? If we can all agree on that. So they'll give you certain aspects of it. And if you go deep into what they're saying, sometimes it's manipulated where they didn't quite say this is a catastrophe or something, but they didn't quite say it wasn't. So, but they were kind of leaning towards getting you guys excited, getting me excited as well, and stirring up the pot. So I think what's been happening throughout the history of our time up until now with the internet, which don't get me wrong, I think is one of the best things that's ever happened to us. The information is wonderful to have. But what's happening now is that it's exposing a lot of things. And I think that a good tactic, and safe to say for my type of thinking, is that the best thing that the powers that could be is flood the gates, open the gates, break the levee, open the dam, let all this information start. Not all of it, but a crap ton of it. So what happens, I think, when I say danger in this age of information, is that whatever you're out there looking for, you're most likely going to find it. And if you want to be supported in how you feel, how you think, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think that that's fantastic. But at the end of the day, what do we want to do? We want to have a successful relationship, right? You want to eat. You want fresh, clean, running water. You want to make money. Money's probably the big one. At the end of the day, we need to see some sort of profitability that show that this thing is actually working. If you're sick with cancer or some sort of illness and you're looking up information, you want to get healed. Now, it doesn't matter who's saying it, what it's about. If the thing works, this is my philosophy. It's called the thing. And we should be. I am after the thing. It's not who said it, how they said it. If the darn thing works, I'm going after it and I'm going to utilize it. So there's been lots of beautiful things that I've had on the internet, such as listening to a podcast on permaculture was Sally Fallon, I think it was, and I think I don't agree with a lot of her work. But she's taken off of Weston A. Price's work on nutrition and dental work and things like that. Not to go too deep into it. But one of the things I found on there was another gentleman that was talking to her about raw milk. And raw milk, goat's milk, actually helped his brother with asthma. He used to have to get cortisone shots and stuff, which I have no idea what that has to do with asthma. But he would drink a couple quarts of raw goat's milk, unpasteurized, right? Homogenized. So I gave the raw milk to my daughter, who also has, who suffers from mild asthma. And once I started giving her this medicinally, just like a 2-shot glasses a day, I noticed that it really took her symptoms away. High dosages of vitamin C, same thing. I've noticed myself. I beat the flu, the cold, taking a couple thousand milligrams a day, redoing my research, looking at the pros and the cons. Now, the problem that we have is that we have Western medicine, meaning regular doctors, and we have holistic healing, right? Nutritionists and stuff like that. People who would rather use food as your medicine and medicine as your food, which makes complete sense to me. Utilizing supplements, raw juices, changing your diet and stuff like that. Whereas Western medicine does imply that maybe you should change your diet and get more exercise and stuff like that. But usually it comes with some medications. Almost 90% of the time they want to give you medications. In fact, I just experienced this the other day with my shoulder cut. I thought I had a rotator cuff tear. Turns out I have supposedly a shoulder muscle, a bicep tear in both arms from doing pull-ups and stuff like that. So they wanted to give me a cortisone shot. So I had to look into it, and what I find is that cortisone, to my knowledge, as of right now, doesn't really heal anything. It stops the pain so that you can actually start working the muscle out. Because what happens is people get hurt, they want to baby it, and what happens is it gets tighter and tighter and worse. What you need to actually do is move and get it working. So that cortisone shot will actually kill the pain, so you can keep going. So it doesn't really solve anything. I can deal with the pain, right? So that's where I'm going with it. So no matter where you go to get your information, even if it's from the horse's mouth sometimes, I think it was Mark Twain said, believe half the things you see and none the things you hear. That was some of his advice that I hold dearly. And I think is hilarious. So you've got to take the power in our own hands. The next thing I have on here is overeducation. I was just watching the Clint Eastwood movie Gran Torino with my oldest daughter. Wonderful, fascinating film. I loved every part of it. And one of the things he said to the pastor was that the pastor asked him for his opinion of him. Why don't you have a problem with me? You don't like me? He says, yeah. And he goes, well, tell me why. He goes, you don't want to know. So he tells him, you're overeducated, and blah, 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 all the other stuff. But that overeducated statement came out, and I said, wow. And the conversation was about real life. And it's just a movie, but a lot of these movies have some very great sayings, especially kids' cartoons. They've got some crazy messages. But when I looked at that, I said that I just started chewing on it. I haven't finished chewing and digesting the thought yet, but what I have so far is that in the age of information and in general, is that a lot of us only have so much hard drive space in our minds to retentiveness, to hold that information. And one of the interesting things is that when we have a lot of things at hand, such as global warming and a bunch of crazy stuff, droughts and ice melting and, crazy. There's the ocean's on fire now in the Gulf of Mexico, some crazy thing like that. What I look at is we need our health. Without health, what do we have, right? Without the health of the earth, what do we have? Yet we're all preoccupied with these certain things, these aspects of information and intellectualism that does nothing for the planet. It does nothing for your health. Does it better the world? Does it better you? Or does it make you look a lot better, right? Are we after aesthetics rather than functionality? So maybe you look good. You won the debate. You are the champion. But where does everything else, what repair has this done? How has this made the world a better place? And sometimes I look at, and I think that hard drive has been overfilled with the unnecessary information. I think all information is really good, whether it's bad or good. You should be aware of everything. But I think that there's a sequence of events that need to happen in our lives, and it needs to happen in our world, and they're not happening. And I think that what we need to do, in my opinion, is that we need to figure out what are the most important things, right? When I look at life, I need to have a low stress level. I've chose to live tiny living, stationary RV living full time. I've got a fraction of the cost of the rent. Boom, knock that out. Low overhead, right? I'm going to spend my money on healthier foods, all organic, mostly organic. And I'm going to get more exercise and things like that. I want to boost the health of me and my daughters. I want the time to do research so that I can buy locally and buy sustainable products instead of stuff that's being wasteful to the planet. I need that time. I need the sequence of events. I need to make less money so I don't have to be running trying to make high payments on something. So I can devote more time to my kids while they're young, right? Focusing on the right things at the right time. I think that's probably one of the best things that I look at in my life right now, which is my kids. I only have my kids for so long before they're going to fly the coop, and they're young, so I'm able to spend time with them now while they want to spend time with me. Sooner or later, they're going to get boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, and they're going to start families, and then I'll probably, just like most Americans, see them maybe a few times a year. I don't know how things are going to go, but I do know that it's important for me to introduce them to new things, such as I'm doing, leaving on my trip, which will be gone. So there'll be no show, I didn't get to say, right? There'll be no show for probably about a month, but I will be back. But yeah, that's where I look at over education. But I get to spend time with them now, and I think I beat that one up. So I have paranoia, and I think that these conspiracy theories and things like that, and a lot of them are very factual, some very hard evidence, and things that you can flip out on. And I'm not saying that they're not real. I have no idea. I never buy into one or the other. But I think that we should watch ourselves. I see some people freaking out, and I see them literally taking information like, I'm low on iron, right? I have ADHD. How do you know that? Well, the internet. I learned it on Facebook. I saw a thing. I matches up everything. I said, well, a lot of people have those certain type of things. Go look up. Was interesting was parasites. I'm going to bring this up. So this is the next. I have a bias or unbiasedly biased mindset, and I did research on parasites. I had like some gas problems and things, tummy issues, and I looked and I started reading all the symptoms for parasites. I said, well, I've never done a parasite. Well, it's been many years since I've done a parasite cleanse, and so I started doing research, and the holistics never mentioned that parasites actually have been with us since the beginning of time. They never went into full history. Same thing with Western medicine. Both in this situation, I found that Western medicine wasn't giving me all the necessary information that I need, and neither was the holistics. At least the people that I was looking at. And I looked up a lot. I did actually a whole show on it. I used to have the Gringo Show. It was called GREENGO. I think it's still up on YouTube. And it was interesting. What I actually found was that these parasites were actually fascinating, and they've actually helped us to evolve as human beings by attacking us, by making our immune system strong. And actually some parasites help people with autoimmune disease. They put pinworms in people's intestines, and the immune system stops attacking its own body, the body, and then it starts attacking. It gives them something to play with, right? Gets them off from actually hurting the body. And those are kind of things that I just looked at unbiasedly, and come to the conclusion that, I'm not so freaked out about them. I don't think it's, that we should just not worry about them, but I think that we should keep an eye on things and know that basically what I found was that if you give a medication to kill them, you're literally killing yourself, because they have the same components to their bodies as we do. That's why they're able to survive. That's why they like us as a host. So you want to be very gentle in the way that you cleanse. So, and this is where my last note is control from the inside out. And I think that this wave and this flood of information that was really simple is to over-educate all the things that I talked about today, whether it comes to money, spirituality, happiness, education, everything. You just flood everybody with so much information that nobody knows what to think. And I think, for myself, what we need to do is get back to basics. And we need to all chill out and take some time off. That's why I'm taking my time off here for about a month. But what we need to do is understand I think it's safe to say the powers that be, they are manipulating children. They're manipulating adults. They have been for a very long time. We get these mindsets, and we're basically being we're allowing ourselves to be stripped away from nature and the way of thinking, from our intuition, from the inside thoughts that we have to the things that we know are right and wrong. We have a sense of like, there's something missing in my life, or we support a certain action and we look and go, this is not right. This is not good. Murdering millions of bugs and animals to feed human beings and things like that is not the right way. It's damaging the ecosystems. We all know this inherently. And I think that we watch it from the safety of the other side of the screen of the TV, or we hear it in our ears on audio, or we pass by it in our vehicle, but we never really spend time at the end of what I call the drain pipe. And don't let them, the way I look at this, do not let your children, don't let yourself be manipulated and fed, and don't let yourself be infiltrated from the inside out. We have to take things to its fullest capacity. We have to understand all the information and not just fulfill your own dreams, wants, and your needs, what you think is good for you or what you're after. Be open to both sides. Be unbiasedly. Look at the pros, look at the cons, the enemy and the hero. Let's hear what both people had to say. Maybe in some cases we find out, there's some Disney cartoons made about that there was some wrongdoing or a miscommunication where we could bring peace. All of us will live better lives because at the end of the day, as I said, what do we want to do? We want to be happy. We want to make money. We want to be healthy. We want action. We want things to actually come to fruition. And it doesn't matter, again, it's about the thing. And that's what this show is all about. That's what I'm about for my entire life. And I sure as hell hope that you are. And I hope that you take this message today and really think about that and wonder, what are you going to do with all the information that's out there? And how are you going to utilize it? How are you going to turn it around, as they teach in martial arts? When somebody gives you a blow or gives you some bad energy, you never strike back. You turn the energy back on your opponent, right? Take what you can get. Take the information, take the negativity, and just send it right back to where it came from. Tire them out that way. Or just completely dissolve the situation. Don't even give it any response. Don't give it any energy and feed it at all. Just ignore it. So guys, that's the show. If I brought you any value, and only if I brought you value, please like, subscribe, and the best way you can support the show is if you give me a review. If we get reviews, that means that we may get a sponsor, or maybe there's some way I can monetize this where I can do these shows really deep and long, or maybe about an hour and a half or so, right? It costs me money. It costs me time to do these things. So if you want the show to keep going, please do so, and I'd really appreciate it. So description below, there's information on how to get a hold of me. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. And human up, my friends.